How do you open a business on a shoestring budget and thrive? We'll be discussing that with Bill Russell, co owner of CrossFit Cleveland, on episode 19 of the Pete Primeau Show. This show is brought to you by my free Facebook group, Pete Primeau Sales and Marketing. Find out more at peteprimeau.com. This week's guest is Bill Russell. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hello, Pete. Thanks for having me on.
Bill is a
How are you?
self-described serial entrepreneur, and he is the co-owner of CrossFit Cleveland, and that is where I actually work out. And Bill has been putting up with me for years and years and years. I've been his problem child that he has miraculously found ways of working around my old football and powerlifting injuries. So, Bill, I want to kind of go back in time before you were even an owner at CrossFit. Tell me a little bit about your background before you opened up CrossFit Cleveland, and then tell me a little bit about opening up CrossFit Cleveland.
Sure, Pete. And thanks for having me on your show. It goes back quite a while. You and I are the same age, so we won't reveal that number. But I started out my adult career as a computer technician way back when. And during that, those first few years, I got the entrepreneurial bug to start my own business. And so I did. And I started that business part-time. And over the years, I've been pretty much on my own as a self-employed person for most of my career, with a little brief stint helping somebody else run their company in the middle. And I've always been a fan and a big proponent of starting a business on a part-time basis. Now you hear the term side hustle. It's a term. I was a side hustle guy way before you ever heard that term. And while I had a full-time job, and this was with cooperation from my employer, they allowed me to have a part-time business that didn't conflict and didn't compete with my full-time job, but it was still in the computer business. That led me
Okay.
to open a full-time computer service business that I ran for 14 years. And that we hit I crashed and burned, if you will, around the 2000, the Y2K technology recession, if you will. And so I got back on my feet. I was working for somebody else who ran a software company. I was helping him turn it around and try to take off, and got the bug for CrossFit. It was a hobby. I started doing CrossFit workouts and started to read how other people were opening their own gym. And that caught my attention. It was something that I really liked to do. So we started CrossFit Cleveland with another couple. My wife and I started with another couple. They both had full-time jobs. My wife had her full-time business. I had a full-time position. So it was a hobby, really. And we were able to do it very slowly. It didn't take a lot of money. We proved the concept and then realized that this was something that had some real value. And so at a certain point, this goes back around 2009, I decided to go full-time and really turn this into a real business. And that's a fast fly through 30 years.
So when you say part-time, how did you afford a big gym rent?
Well, that was probably our biggest expense, but what we did, we opened our physical doors in November of 2007. We became our area's first CrossFit licensee in April, and we started doing workouts in the metro parks, free ones, every Saturday morning. And we advertised, and this is where I cut my teeth on how to use social media and all the free marketing channels out there to round up the crowd. And we started publishing or advertising that we had a free workout every Saturday. We did it at the same place, same time. And people just started showing up, and they loved it. And throughout the summer, the crowd kept getting bigger. And we realized that winter was coming and we needed to get inside, or we were going to have to stop this So we started asking people, and this is high tech market research. I started asking people if we had a building and we offered these workouts on a regular basis, would you pay? And most of them said yes. Now, there was no contracts. It was just casual conversation. So we decided to take the leap. So we signed a 3-year lease on a building in Lakewood. It wasn't terribly expensive. I was pretty good at negotiating, and I negotiated a pretty good deal. It was a stepped lease arrangement. So the first 6 or 9 months was half of what it was going to build to. So it took some pressure off cash flow wise. But because we all had our own jobs or businesses, we were not requiring business to pay us anything. All we wanted early on was, let's make this pay for itself. So we'll have a real cool gym that we can work out with our friends. And truthfully, that was about as serious as it was in 2006 and early 2007 when we planned it.
So was that on Madison? The one on Madison?
Yes. Yeah, where you started with us there. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
one of the old guard
That's when
CrossFit Cleveland.
yeah.
It's almost 10 years.
So the first market in gold that we have for our business owners is you proved your concept first. You did market research with casual conversation, and you didn't have any buffers in between. And you kind of hit social media in its infancy too, Bill.
Yes. And as we grew, it was mainly taught to be by our members. So when we got on Twitter, for example, and I'm not a big Twitter fan, it was a recommendation for one of my clients. And then getting on Facebook and doing more, the recommendation of a client, another client.
Yeah.
So people wanted to help. Everybody wants to help you when they like what you do. And it's something new, especially. Everybody wants to help. As long as you're there to help them, they'll help you back. And so we got a lot of help in the early days spreading the word. One thing that's, I think, consistent through my career, if you will, multiple careers, is that I'm always looking. It just seems like I'm always at the front end of something. Now, you could say, well, if you've always been at the front end of something, how come you don't have $1 billion? Well, I don't know. I didn't buy enough stock in all the things I knew were going to be good. But early on, I got into the PC world before people really thought the PCs were going to take off. I built a very successful PC maintenance company. Got into document management software for the home building world, which was way ahead of its time. It was too early. That didn't work. But it was ahead. When CrossFit came out, nobody knew what CrossFit was. But I had an idea that this was going to be something that was valuable. And so I started early. And now, we're always looking for what's new and coming. It's not necessarily a fad, but it's going to be big, and try to get in early. It just makes your life a lot easier if you can be one of the first people to the game. And that's what's helped us a lot, I think, in town, CrossFit wise. We've just been here for forever, it seems. And over that time,
no, did I cut you off, Bill?
No,
I'm good for that.
I'm a rambler. I could take you all down all kinds of rabbit holes.
Well, I want to go down some of these rabbit holes because something that's interesting about our box, and I don't know compared to other boxes other than when I travel, but we have an interesting mix of people, a lot of different people, from highly successful attorneys to, we've had professional football players, ex-professional football players in there, judges in there, you name a profession, they're there, common laborers, police officers, firemen, you name it. I always believe that businesses have the clientele that they're willing to tolerate, and that they attract and they retain who they are at the heart of it. So one of the things that I find interesting with your gym is you cannot like put a an avatar on it and say this is my profile. So that becomes challenging when you're following a lot of the advice of the gurus today because they're always saying, "Hey, what's your ideal customer avatar?" So I know that you come at things differently, Bill, and that's part of the reason I wanted you on here because there's business owners out there that have businesses that either aren't working or aren't as profitable as they'd like them to be, and they're willing to think a little bit differently. They're willing to try something new. So, how do you come at that whole avatar thing? You must come at it a different way because you, there's not one type of person at your gym. There just isn't.
That's a really good question. It's a good topic that I think I can give you some good insight on for me. So first, we'll start in case somebody's listening and not quite sure what the avatar concept is. You're trying to get a picture of your ideal client, what they look like, what their interests are, why they would buy from you, and we do that. But it's not so much a profession; it's what they're trying to do. And early on, people used to ask me like, what do you target? Seems like it's people that are coming up on a milestone in their life, and they need to make a change. So somebody's late 20s, they're about to turn 30, or they're about to turn 40, or they've got a class reunion coming up. Believe it or not, those are strong motivators for people to finally get off the couch and say, I got to get my act together. And so that's what we look for. It's not so much a profession. But on the avatar subject, I think what I do also, and that most people don't, is I make avatar or avatars of people that I don't want, the customer that I don't want in my gym, because they'll mess up the mix. And there are a couple that are clearly identified that if I targeted them or I let them in, it would screw up that community feel that I think everybody likes. So
Yeah.
you were always thinking about attracting people. Maybe if a business owner thinks about, wait a minute, this is the kind of customer I don't want. Let's make sure that I do what I can to avoid getting. And you do that over 14 years, and you get a pretty good collection of great customers. And I have to tell you, we have
Yeah.
great customers.
Yeah, you do. It's
How
an
many how
awesome
many
group of
jerk
people.
it is, and it's gone up and down over the years, and uh, but we know who we know the type of person. When somebody comes in and I talk to them for 10 minutes, I can pretty much tell you if they're going to like what we do and we're not, or if we're going to like them.
Yeah.
And so I'm not
So
going
I
to.
mean,
I would not
one
turn you around and say, "Don't you're not a good customer for me." I don't do that. I'm not being arrogant saying I do that. It's
no.
just when we market and the messages that we put out, we're purposely avoiding attracting certain types of people. And it
So
works.
not only are you attracting the right customer, but you're repelling the wrong customer at the same time with your messages that you're putting out there with your marketing messages. You're
Yeah.
actively in your mind repelling as well as you are attracting.
Yeah. Well, and that might, for a casual listener, they might say, that guy sounds like a jerk. Let's not say that I'm repelling. I'm just purposely not trying to grab their attention because I know what they like or I know what
Yeah.
their motivations are. So I don't, for an example, in the old days, we were more of a competitive CrossFit style gym. We were very into CrossFit games. And there's a particular set of clients that are really after that. We
Yeah.
don't focus on the competition side any longer. And so that was one business decision we made 6 years ago, is to really shy away from that person who wants to be the next Matt Frazier or Rich Froning. It's
Yeah.
a simple example I can give.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyone that's watching this on a video and you guys want to get going with your day and you want to pick this up as a podcast, we are on every podcast platform. Just go to your favorite podcast platform and you'll see us there. Um, Billy and Simon do a great job of getting me on all the platforms. So there probably isn't a podcast platform that you can find that I'm not on. So just go to peteprimeau.com. You'll find all the links there. Push on one of the links and you can listen to the rest of this because Bill's got more great stuff for us. So what was I interrupting you about, Bill?
Well, one of the things that I do too, marketing wise, is I just try to remain visible so that when somebody does wake up and they say, "Wow, I've got to make a change," and whether I have to start eating better, I have to start exercising better, I just need to get around different people. We want to be visible because that's a hard change. I think what surprises a lot of spouses or partners or friends of members of ours when we have a social interaction, I never talk about CrossFit. I don't talk about fitness. I don't talk about anything because they probably hear about it enough from the member. I'm just a regular person. You can't start asking people and telling people you should train and you should lose weight or you should get stronger. That's not my job. It's when you're ready, for whatever reason, I want to make sure that you remember I'm there and you come to us. And so all of our marketing and all of our communication is really to just stay visible and appeal to that person's interests when they have that aha moment, if you will. And so back to the avatar thing, one of the things we do is try to figure out, and this is helpful for any business owner, what are the reasons, or is there one primary reason why people would never consider you? So when they hear your name, they hear your subject, they hear your product, they're like, ugh, I don't want that. And then try to craft your messages to meet that objection. And in my world, to give you an example, and you understand this, when people hear the word CrossFit, they think flipping tires, climbing ropes, slamming sledge, just doing awful, crazy workout stuff. And they say, I can't do that. Or they see the CrossFit Games on TV and they see all these people that are just incredibly ripped and they're doing crazy, crazy feats. And it's impressive as can be. And they think, I can't do that CrossFit stuff. And it really did hurt the CrossFit gym world for years because people would just say CrossFit, no. And then the other part of the fitness industry, because CrossFit grew so quick, they hate it. And so they say negative things about it. So you'll hear, oh, you don't want to do that CrossFit stuff, you'll get hurt. And so that is the general impression that most people have is I can't do that, or I don't want to do it, or it's bad for me. And that's not true, especially at our gym. I mean, we're just regular people doing regular stuff.
All right. So now
that's the objection. Now we get into it.
So now I have to step up. So I came to Bill, an ex-football player in college who, among my injuries, broken ankle, separated shoulders, dislocated elbows, blown out knee, completely blown out knee. And then from powerlifting, because I didn't have the money to buy a red convertible, my midlife crisis was powerlifting. And when I was done with powerlifting, I had blown my back out and I came to Bill this way. And Bill and Stacy, God bless both of them, and the wonderful trainers and coaches that they've had, they've always found a way. There has never been a workout that I couldn't do because of an injury. Now, that being said, there's plenty of exercises we've had to modify because of my pre-existing injuries. And, I've had a double back fusion. I've had both my knees replaced. And throughout all of that, we've always been able to work around my injuries. So anybody that's not coming to CrossFit because they think their injuries will prohibit them, that's just not true. So I'm sorry, Bill, I could not let that one lay right there without me stepping up and talking about it because, I'm a kind of a medical miracle that I even do what I do. I should probably be on disability, but that wouldn't be me.
How you feeling these days? You're looking
I
good.
feel great, man. I feel
Good.
great. I'm 220, and when I came to you, I was 285. So, over the years, I've gone up, I've gone down, and I finally listened to Bill and Stacy, and finally started to put into place some of their nutrition. Let me tell you guys something. The coaching that you get on nutrition is worth the price of the membership just by itself. Forget about the workouts. If you never went to a workout, you paid your monthly fee and you just got your nutrition advice from these guys and you followed it, you it would be the best investment you ever made. Just right there. So,
And we've done that a
well,
lot over the years on a casual basis. Uh,
yeah.
and what we've seen now in the last year is that we have three of us are certified nutrition coaches now, and we do that on a more formal basis for people that want more accountability. So if you want
Yep.
just a little bit of dribble here and there, we'll help you, and we give you advice mainly based on what we've done. A little bit of backstory with me, what got me into fitness. I don't have the sports background that you do, not at all. Uh, when I was approaching 40, I was probably, I went north of 210 pounds. So I'm 5'9". I think I was 5'10", shrinking. Uh, 5'9", 210 plus was the upper limit, and my clothes stopped fitting. I had a closet full of very expensive suits, custom made shirts. I wore a suit every day back then, pretty much every day. And I was getting down to my last one. It was all of it. It was this month up. I can't wear that one anymore. Oh, now it's another month. I can't wear that one anymore. I was down to my last pair of fat pants, and I realized I had to do something. I had to do something. I couldn't. Now, this is the story about my background is written on the website. This is the truth. I was at a point where I couldn't afford to replace all the clothes that I had. And I said, I got to do something. And so
Yeah.
I just had that aha moment. Said, look, if I don't turn this around, I'm not going to make it. So I got into martial arts, really just a kickboxing class. It wasn't formal martial arts for about 3 months. And I started to turn around. And now, you know, uh, I'm 165 pounds. I maintain that consistently. I have for the last 15 years. And so I've gone through that. I got sloppy and lazy through my 30s. We see that in people in
Yep.
their 20s. We see it in their 40s.
Yep.
So I did that. And I was able to recognize that that's not a healthy lifestyle. And I needed to fix that. And so I did that with the help of others. And then I got into formal martial arts. And it's very similar to CrossFit training in that you show up, there's an instructor or multiple instructors. You do what they tell you to do, and the results happen. You just show up and do the work. You get amazing results. Now, some people have criticized me when I use that in our marketing to say that's too simple. It really isn't. If you come and you do the work, you're going to get the better results. And so, because I did that myself, then I realized, hey, I maybe could do that for other people. So that's my drive. When somebody comes in the door and they're 35 pounds overweight, I just show them my business card and say, well, this is what I look like now. Then it's what I did, and that's what I do for other people. That picture is worth 1,000 words. And I get
Yeah.
a little nod. And they're like, okay, I'll give you a shot. Doesn't mean that I can, but at least I've done it myself. Some people like to have a young, hard body trainer because they look great. They can do all kinds of things, and that's good. But they might not have been through the path that you need to go through. So that's what I bring to the table. Same thing with Stacy.
Yep. Yep. So
So
when you're
we help people do.
you
So we
help
help people
people
do
do,
what we did ourselves, and what we continue to do. And
yeah,
so, if you're
yeah,
in a business, if you're selling a product that you don't believe in, uh, or that you don't use, or you don't feel the value, then how can you can't be very successful selling. You really got to,
yeah,
and that makes it so much easier to like what you do and to dig through all the obstacles that any business owner or any salesperson encounters. It's not smooth sailing. No,
Yeah.
it's very rarely smooth sailing. But what keeps
Yeah.
you going is it because you believe in what you do. It's very simple, but you know what? Most success principles are very simple. You just have to recognize the couple that work for you and stick with.
So give me an example of attracting the right avatar to your business.
Well, I could talk to you about a little bit of mistakes that didn't work. Uh,
That's good.
it's not
Let's start there.
a lot of CrossFit gyms like to show pictures of people laying on the floor, like bloody and guts pouring out of them after an intense workout, going, this is what we do, or bloody hands, or just misery, and that turns people off. And it's really not a true indicator of what we do. We like to have messages, pictures of people, regular people like you, like me, like somebody's kid, doing exercises in a group environment with a coach and enjoying it, or they're all working through their misery. And so that we try to put those messages out to regular people, all ages, all sizes, and that they have the big message is that they've been doing it for a long time. And that's where testimonials come through. If you think about one thing that I made a note about where I want to talk about referrals, I suck at asking for referrals. I've been through all kinds of different training seminars that teach you how to get referrals, how to ask for referrals, and I get it, but I just don't do it. It's really uncomfortable for me. But most of our business comes from referrals. People just they're sending people to us because they like it. So I suck at asking for referrals. But the second best thing, if you are in that position and you don't think you're good at asking for referrals, is reviews. Today, reviews are king. I think nobody would argue that. Google reviews, Yelp reviews, Facebook reviews, get people to write something good about you, give you a 5-star review, and then and then make sure that people, your prospects, get funneled to that location where they can read those reviews. I mean, that's really been a big plus for us. And I try to get those reviews of people talking about their story and why they came, what they over what they wanted in the beginning, and why they're still there. And what comes up consistently is that this is a routine where people will do for years. You've been with us for what, almost 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we probably have, I don't know, 30 or 40 clients that are at the 6 or 7 year mark and over. I mean, and that's quite a testament to a business where
It is.
people, they show up consistently, they get the results. And so
Yep.
that's the message we're trying to put out. And third, after reviews being second, are testimonials. And I should be more regular at testimonials, but we have, dozens on our website, short clips of our members talking about why they like it, CrossFit Cleveland. And so if you have business owners or salespeople out there listening that don't focus on reviews, you don't have to have 500 reviews, but you should have, more than 2 or 3. Reviews and testimonials, and have that be visible so that when somebody comes looking for you, you won't find much on our website of me talking about what we do. I want you to listen to people telling you what they do, why they come there. And what I need to be better at is, we go back to that objection I mentioned earlier about people, they hear the word CrossFit, they think, oh, I can't do that. I either going to get hurt, I'm not capable, I'm not ready. I need to make more testimonials where people address that. And I have some, but I could do more. But just asking you, Pete, what did you think when you heard the word CrossFit for the first time? What did you think before you came? Well, I'll ask you.
I didn't
It
know.
wasn't very, yeah.
Let me tell you my first exposure to CrossFit. I'm riding my bicycle in the metro parks and I see some people doing pull-ups and some other people are swinging these things that I learned later are called kettlebells. You know who that was, Bill? It was
Probably
you
us.
guys. It was you guys. That's the
That big
first
old,
time.
uh, and
That was the first time.
how long
So
did it
it
take you
must
to
have
come through our doors after you saw us?
probably a few more years. Um, you know, I think I realized that um, I wasn't getting any younger, and you know, when I stopped powerlifting, um, you know, the interesting thing about powerlifting is that when I started, I was 235 pounds and I competed in the 242s. When I left, when I benched 705, I competed in that one meet at 308. And I lifted most of my career at 275. And I mean, there was a point where I was, you know, 275 and probably around 22% body fat. So, I mean, that's a lot of muscle to carry on your body, and of course, when I stopped lifting, the muscle changed to not muscle, and there was plenty of not muscle around, and I, you know, I just got to a point where um, my body felt terrible, and I was not going to lose the weight by myself. I tried, and it wasn't happening. Um, so that's kind of where I made my, and then I was driving by um, the gym on Madison and I saw you guys and kind of caught my eye. And I think what I did is I went online and I want, what is CrossFit? What is this CrossFit thing? You know, and I see this bald headed guy that seems pretty nice, acts, you know, like he's pretty confident in his abilities. And well, finally gave it a try. I remember it was a free Saturday morning workout at 11 o'clock, and I liked it, and I just always felt home, felt comfortable with you and Stacy, and been with you guys ever since. So
Cool.
that's
And you're still there. So that
yeah, and
goes back to
I'm
the
still here. I'm 60 years old, and I'm still there, and I'm having more fun than ever.
good. And that just goes back to
Just
we try to be visible, be there, and visible
yeah,
when somebody decides they finally want to start, that they remember us. And so you know you're playing the long game. And we used to call that, there was a term for that, it's escaping me, lurkers. It was very common that people would come in and they would tell us after they joined, I've been watching your website for 2 years, or I've been driving by and I've been, they weren't ready. Whatever they say, whether they were scared, they didn't think they could do it, they didn't have the money at the time, whatever it was. They finally one
right.
day said, I have to do that. And we were there. So
Yep.
there's no magic to that other than just being as visible as you can, being as consistent and authentic as you can, so that when they do come to you, they're what you expect.
Yep.
Back when you started,
Listen,
nobody knew what CrossFit was. Now, though, let's talk. Go ahead. You're the guest.
no,
You're
no,
the
no, no,
host.
no, no. We'll no, we'll end up there. So listen, any of you at home that have my book already, Sell a Million, I'm going to read very quickly. It'll take a minute. Chapter 59. Surprise and delight your customers. Now, the reason I'm reading this one now is because I don't think there's anybody better at it than my guest, Bill Russell. Any day, at any time, you have the power to surprise and delight a customer. Remember to do it and do it often. Get a reputation for giving something away, a product or a discount when you don't have to, or a compliment. Compliment, that's cheap marketing. Your customer will have his day pleasantly interrupted. He will tell a bunch of his friends, and you will have increased your bond with him. All of this will generate additional sales. Your ability to do this is only limited by your imagination. For years, I have taught and at times begged my retailers to call customers after their delivery to make sure they're happy with their purchase and the service they have received. A simple phone call goes a long way. Remember, it's all about making your customer feel appreciated and valued. Customers who give testimonials often give testimonials because they saw a testimonial And those customers that are referred will give referrals. So back to your strategy of getting referrals and testimonials. So please do not be limited by my example. Get creative and uncover more ways to surprise and delight your customers. Have fun with it. Something that Bill did not too long ago, and Bill's great at this. He does it a hundred different ways. First of all, if you don't say hi by name to other members, you have to do push-ups. So he encourages everybody um, to um, to interact with everybody. That's part of how he surprises and delights everybody. But he sent me this book. See that book? This book is gonna make some of my manufacturers very unhappy because I'm dropping them based on reading this book, based on their performance. But that's a whole nother subject for another show. If you guys don't have my book, really quick, go to Amazon and um, see. And anybody that did not see this, it's called The Dip, and it's by Seth Godin. I recommend it. It's a fast little read, and it's a really great book that'll give you perspective. You don't have to buy your customers a book. You can give them a compliment. You call them by their first name when they come into your gym or they come into your store. So, Bill, you're probably as good as I've seen at this, and that's why I read that chapter.
Thank you.
Anything
You
you'd
have a
add
second for
to
me
what
to?
I said? Yeah, I
Yeah,
want you to rip.
yeah. I'd like to add a little to that book, The Dip, and how turn it sideways, if you would. It's a skinny little book. It's not your typical 300 pager. You can read it in a few hours. That
Yeah,
book changed the
book.
if you talk about why did CrossFit Cleveland become what it is, a lot of it is based on that book. And at the time that I read that book, I saw it on the shelf. I was running or working for a software company that was trying to get into the document management field for construction, way ahead of its time. And we were beating our heads against the wall trying to get this off the ground. It was a great concept. People should have bought that, but for some reason they didn't. And we were just doing everything we could. I was really into it. And I saw this book, and it says, paraphrasing, when to learn how to either stick with it or quit. When do you know? And I'm thinking, oh, this little book. I know Seth Godin's a good guy. I like listening. Really? So I read it, and I couldn't believe it. The message in that book got me to realize that what I was doing in that software world, back up, his basic message in there is be the best in the world at what you do. And you first hear that and go, well, that's a big statement. What he really means is be the best in your world, the best in the world for a certain group of people in a certain location, not the best for everybody, but a certain segment of the market. That you are just better than anybody for them. And I realized that that software business that we were trying to get off the ground, try to make, was really never going to be the best. And even if we got to be the best in 3 months, we could be the worst. It was going to be a constant battle. It was like, wow. And on the other side, I had this part-time business, this little CrossFit gym that we were running that people loved. And it was truly it was delivering tremendous results. People loved it. They come back. And I realized this, in our little world, we were the best. We were the best in the world for the group of clients that we had tracked. And I had a moment like, you know what? I got to go. I got to get out of the computer business. It's been too stressful. It's just an uphill battle all the way. And this CrossFit thing, I can be the best in the world to my little group of clients. And that's why I put my head down and we said, let's go. And it all from that little book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
what I learned, I'll give Greg Glassman credit, the co-founder and former CEO of CrossFit, he had quite a meltdown this year in the media. Because I learned a lot from that man. And the biggest lesson was early on, he used to say, the way to be successful as a CrossFit trainer and a gym owner is to love your clients. It doesn't matter how many certifications you have. You can have all kinds of college degrees and certifications hanging on your wall. You can brag all you want about how great you are, how much you can do. But if you don't love your clients, you're missing the boat. Stacy and I love our clients. And that's what makes us successful. And I have there are people that criticize me in general. Like they can't figure out how can we run such a successful CrossFit gym? It's because I love clients. And if you don't love your clients, you got to get out of it. You got to get in a different business.
Hey, Stacy. She
doesn't know she's on TV.
No. Oh, okay.
She's used to walking behind that the green screen. I don't think she can hear you.
Stacy is Bill's wife, the co-owner of CrossFit. How are you?
You're chasing her out. She's actually the owner. Women own everything. I'm a co-founder, the actual proper title.
Ah, how you doing? You staying out of
trouble? She can't hear you, Pete. She can't hear you because I got the headphones on.
Okay.
Just say hi.
Hi.
She's used to me having a green screen and a picture of the gym or my boat in the back.
So let's get back to how you approach marketing differently than typically other business owners. There's a lot of bad information out there. And what I worry about, Bill, is for a new business owner, they spend too much time and or too much money going down rabbit holes that aren't productive. So, one of your one of the things that you said is prove your concept first, and if you can prove that concept while you're part-time. And I think that's great advice. Now that they've gone full time, they've got to start to make this thing bigger, whether it's a CrossFit box, or whether it's a restaurant, or whether it's a mattress store. What would be your advice to a new business owner, and how to avoid maybe some of the pitfalls that either you fell into when you were younger, or you've seen others fall into and you were able to not fall into those? I know that's a lot.
I'll go back to what I mentioned earlier before we came on live. Is sometimes I'll tell a story and try to answer that question. I had one. You know what you get when we get our age? They call them senior moments. I had a flash.
Yeah.
But I got it.
It's okay.
Here's what happened. We'll roll back to when I started my computer maintenance company. The whole subject here, the idea is maybe don't try to pick your market or define it before you start. Let it find you. When I started out as a computer technician, I wanted to get my own computer business. I was a mainframe, actually, correct term, I was a mini computer technician. I worked on Data General computers back in the early 80s. And when I started my own company, I didn't want to compete with my employer, but I wanted to get in the business. So what I started out is I defined market. I said, I'm going to go after this. And it was, real quickly, terminals and printers, the dirty work. You have a big mainframe computer, but you also have 50 monitors and 30 printers, or 5 printers. I just want the maintenance on that, because that's dirty work. When I got started it, I thought, I'm not going to be a PC repair company. That's not my thing. Well, guess what? I wasn't in business for 6 months before all of a sudden everybody in the world out there was trying to get me to fix their PCs, and it swept me. I became a very successful PC maintenance company through the 90s. Fast forward ahead, when I started CrossFit, I had in mind the type of client that I was going to attract. At the time, I was a golfer. I belonged to two private golf clubs here in town. Uh, I had a lot of friends that were successful, and I was going to be the trainer for successful people in my world. And that was what I was going to focus on. Our partner was a police officer, and his idea, and it was a great idea, was to go after people that were going to go through the police academy, get their names, and train them to prep so that when they started the academy, they were ahead of the game. So those were our two ideal clients. And oddly enough, neither one of them panned out. But there was another segment out there that all of a sudden found us, and they latched on. And I've seen that over the years where people say, here's my product, here's my service, and this is the type of client I want. And I'm just going to do everything I can to get them. And I think it might be the wrong approach. The right approach would be get your service, make sure you're valuable, and let the market find you. And it maybe sounds a little bit casual, and it's not coming from an MBA perspective, but that's not a very good plan. But that's what happens. Think about 3M Post-it notes. You know the story back when they started these. Whoever made this, they were trying to make an adhesive that was like the best adhesive in the world. It could like go to the moon and back. And they made something, and it kept falling off. It's like, this is bullshit. That's no good. And somebody realized that there's an application for it. So 3M Post-it notes was a mistake.
Yeah.
That they made something and they found an entirely different market. Now, hopefully that tied those two thoughts together. But don't think you're so smart that you're going to figure out who's going to buy your stuff. Just put your message out there, and one at a time. And let's see where that takes you. Does that answer that question? Does that help?
Yeah. So don't be too attached to your initial avatar. When your avatar changes right in front of you, recognize the change and embrace the change when it happens. And don't be stuck, market into the old avatars, start going after the one that's coming for you. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let me take a moment to talk about Get Super Cereal. It's my production team and the sponsors of this show. They make it super easy for me to do this. Basically, I just walk on and I do my show and I walk back off, and that's it. When I started, I did all the production, I did all the publishing, I did the editing. By the way, we don't edit these things, but it was so much work. And so I started and then I stopped. I started again because of Get Super Cereal. Billy and Simon make it easy for me to do this show. And basically all I have to do is show up. So anybody that is thinking about doing their own show, all you got to do is book a free call at getsupercereal.com. That's Super Cereal, CEREAL.com. Getsupercereal.com. Book a call and do what I do and do it the easy way. My show turns up on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it, all the podcast platforms. It just makes it super easy for me. And I wouldn't do it any other way. I've done it both ways now. And this is the only way for me to go, given my schedule the way it is. So that's the end of my commercial. Bill, I want to give you a testimonial. So you and Stacy probably saved my life. So, my dad died of a heart attack when he was 51. My grandfather died of a heart attack when he was 44. And a doctor once told me, he said, Pete, he goes, the good thing about you is you got a great sense of humor. The bad thing is you're too heavy and your family history is really, really against you. And the strongest of all these factors is your family history. Now, you can't do anything to change your family history. The only thing you can do is get in better shape and lose some weight. And you and Stacy have been instrumental in that. And one of the things that, um, and this is, there's probably a marketing lesson in here somewhere, Bill. You know, you accepted where I was coming from. And I'm sure that when I was gaining weight, you saw that I was gaining weight from my lowest weight. And then now I'm back down. Um, I don't know, being patient with your customers and taking them for where they're at and working with them towards their goals. I don't know what the exact lesson is, but if you would have cranked the heat up on me too much, you probably would have chased me out of the gym at some point. Um, and I remember looking at you about a year ago and I said, Don't let me baby myself." And you said, "Okay, I won't let you baby yourself." And we cranked up the intensity just a notch or two,
Well,
and it really helped. So
good. Well,
thank
thank
you,
you for
Bill.
that. Well, you're very welcome. Continue to do that for as long as we can. A lot of listeners are probably going to think, well, yeah, they don't know where to start, or they think it's too big of a change. It's interesting. About 15 years ago, at a client of mine, he's a marketing guru here in town. His name's Jim Kukral. I have lost touch with him, but he was early in podcasts, and he mentioned to me that I should have started a podcast back in 2008 or nine. And it just didn't resonate with me, but he had me on his podcast, and it was interviewing, and I'm a terrible interviewer, because I ramble, and you stick a microphone in my face, I turn into a dork, as I've done so far this last hour. But right at the end
That's
of the
not
interview,
true.
right at the end of the interview, he asked me a question like this, like he was leading up to it. He's like, "Bill," he goes, "Here you go. If you could say what one thing somebody could do to make their life better, what would it be?" I'm like, oh, and I froze. Like, I wasn't ready for that question, because it was like, what's? But of course, we hang up, and within 2 minutes, it hits me. Like, why didn't I say that? We've all had those moments, right, where
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't have the right answer until a couple minutes later, and it's too late. The answer would have been for somebody to either change the way they eat or change the way they exercise
Yeah.
in just a little way, one or the other. And when I say change, a lot of it would be just to start. Most people they're not putting a focus on either their nutrition or their exercise. So just do something small, and then you'll do a little more, and you'll do a little more. I think too often people have too big of a goal. They're like, wow, I find myself 50 pounds overweight, so I got to lose 50 pounds. Well, that's not really very realistic to think you're going to go out and do that on your own. Just do something, a little bit. And what I've learned in the last few years, kind of life changing for me, was the importance of sleep. We used to have nutrition as the base of our pyramid of health, and I've changed that. The bottom is sleep, sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. If you aren't doing that now, do your best to get that in, and your life will change. Just little bitty incremental steps, and that will get you there. Jordan Peterson said something in a podcast that I listened to that really resonated with me. He said, one of the mistakes you make is you don't aim low enough.
Hmm.
Sometimes people, they they set a big goal because that's where they want to go. But they don't have these incremental steps, and they fall short. And his idea is, set yourself something very, very low, but at least it's up, something that you can accomplish. And when you get there, another step. It's all incremental steps, baby steps. Bob Wiley had it
Yeah.
right. Dr. Leo Marvin had it right 25 years ago in that movie, baby steps. And that's what we help
Yep.
people do. So we don't try to take you and turn you into an animal and 30 days. It's just not going to work. Just little steps. And Stacy is really good at this. My wife, Stacy, you mentioned to her, of really meeting people where they are and just bumping them along a little bit, but
Yeah.
constantly making sure that they're moving ahead. And those little steps add up in a huge way. And the
Yeah.
other way is if you
They
don't,
they do.
if and that and if you don't make those changes, those little steps go the other way, and you're going downhill, and they add up
Yep.
as well in the negative direction. So just a little bit of change, and that's what we try to do. And everybody that comes to us, you talk about you were fairly broken when you came with all your
Yep.
injuries from powerlifting. I don't think
Yep.
there's very rarely does somebody walk through our doors who doesn't have some type of an issue. They're broken somehow, or they're limping, and so that's
Yeah.
our job, is to make sure that we can help them get on a better path. We're not dealing with Division 1 athletes coming in saying make me better, or I'm not taking a high school kid whose parents say I want this kid to get a scholarship to a D1 school. That's not what we do. There are a couple gyms in town that I would send you to, because that's what they do. They're very good at athletic performance. What we're good at is getting people who have fallen off the rails and getting them back a little bit at a time in a sustainable lifestyle that they can do forever. And that's what we do at CrossFit Cleveland. Thanks for being there.
Anybody and no, thank you for being there for me. Anybody that wants to get a hold of Bill and you're saying, hey, this sounds good. I'm in the Cleveland area. Bill's email is right there. Bill at CrossFit Cleveland. Is that it? CrossFit Cleveland. Right now it's crossed off, so I can't really see it.
If
Anybody out there, whether you're a salesperson or you own your own business, if you want to improve your sales or marketing, whether you're, uh, whether you're a sales professional or a business owner, get a weekly coaching call and pep talk from me, a sales professional with 39 years of experience. I started on the show. I started as a retail salesperson, and I've been a VP of sales twice. I own my own sales repping company. I started as a retail salesman who was too afraid to even say hi to his customers. And now I'm coaching sales pros all across the country. And one of the great things that I've been blessed with in the last 39 years is I've worked with some of the very best of the best. And if you want to overcome your sales sticking points and turbocharge your ability to find what customers really needs are and close more sales and raise your ticket values, I'm here to help you get better at what you do. So go to my website, Pete Primeau's Weekly Playbook, peteprimeau.com/playbook. That's peteprimeau.com/playbook. Do it now. And if you are in the Cleveland area, guys, if you are not 100% happy with your fitness level or your weight, and you want to improve and you're ready to start to take some small steps towards that improvement, reach out to Bill and Stacy at CrossFit Cleveland. They're the best. I mean, um, listen, I tried everything and I finally got to the end of it, and I had to make a horrible admission to myself. And here was a horrible admission that I had to make to myself. Me, who views himself as a self-made person, and I've come to learn that that's not really true. I had great parents that helped me to believe in myself. I've been given great opportunities through life. I seize those opportunities. I worked hard, but I like to think of myself as an independent person who has a lot of discipline. I wake up earlier, go to bed. I do the things that I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do them. And I had discipline in every area of my life except one, my physical fitness. And that was horribly embarrassing to me. And I finally admitted to myself, this isn't working and I've got to make a change. And I made the change. I found Bill and Stacy, and I thank God every day for it. Um, It's made a world of difference in my life. It might be the right thing for you. And if you're ready, reach out to these guys because they are absolutely the best. Let's try to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes, Bill, but I think you still got a little bit more in you. Now, a lot of people that start their own businesses, they don't have a lot of extra money. So if you're going to give them your top 2 or 3 tips um, on how to be efficient with their ad spend and how not to go broke, making somebody else rich who doesn't necessarily have their best interests at heart, what would be your recommendation to a small business owner that's just trying to improve their volume, do a little bit more business, improve their profitability, and not go broke spending $2 more than God on advertising that doesn't work?
Remember that story I told you a few minutes ago about Jim Cooperl asking me that question, and I just went, "Ooh," and I got really good answers
Yeah.
once we disconnected. That's probably going to be what's happening.
Oh
Uh,
no.
no, let me think about it. I've been trying to think of something that I didn't cover. Um, so I'm a bootstrapper, and that's primarily the startup phase, is just making sure that we didn't spend more money than we had to. But I don't know if I can boil it down to 1 or 2 things. Um, the more you know your client and the more you know what they value and what they don't, it just gives you the ability to focus on those factors. Like you said earlier, it's really easy to get distracted or run down rabbit holes. Just to keep your eye on a couple of things that really make a difference. Uh, and for us, it's really getting people to overcome their reason for not coming in. Just we do everything we can to just get people comfortable to try us. And that doesn't cost very much money. We
So focusing in on the right avatar is helping you not spend money, needlessly on the wrong market. Um, I think
yeah,
there's no one better at testimonial videos than you, Bill. I mean, I've done some video testimonials for you, and you use them effectively in your marketing. They're all over your website. Um, you know, there's hardly a day that goes by at your box where you could walk into it and it wouldn't be surprising to see somebody giving you a video testimonial. And I can't help but think that those help you reduce your advertising spend because they're so powerful.
yeah, so we talked about that earlier. Reviews would be number one if you're not actively pursuing reviews from your clients on Facebook and Google primarily. Google reviews are king, in my opinion.
Okay.
Facebook reviews are good. You got to have them. At least set your goal. If you double however many you have, and if you don't have many, 50 is a good number to shoot for. Because if somebody comes on and they see 4, that's not very compelling. If they see, if you went on my website, now we're a little local company. If I had 350 Google reviews, you'd probably go, I wonder if he paid somebody to do that. I mean, it's a little too much. So, 50
Right.
is works good. If you don't have 50, you better get 50. If you have 50, shoot for 100. Google,
Okay.
Facebook. People say Yelp is important. I don't like Yelp as a company. I'd never give them $1. Uh, but they do show up a lot in searches, so you want to be there. Uh, but Google's the king. Then the next testimonials would be next because I think testimonials aren't as valuable as they were 5 years ago because there are so many more out there, and you can
Yeah.
listen to. I might only put the 10 best testimonials on my website. You don't hear the 10 people that are out there saying I suck. You see, so it still
Right.
isn't as good as reviews. Um, and then in those
Yeah.
testimonials, if they're talking, make sure you go and identify the reasons why people won't shoot. Like I said before, CrossFit brings up this scared, like, I can't do it. I'm not ready. So have your testimonial, the person address that. Yeah, you know what? If you watch some of our more current ones, it's, yeah, before I came in, I was scared. Or my friends think I'm nuts for doing that. But I
Right.
came, and it's not like you think. So that's the message that needs to come from the client. And
Yeah. It's like a
and the other,
Christmas story where they say you'll poke your eye out. Don't go to
yeah,
CrossFit. You'll poke your
e-
eye out, right?
exactly. And you know what this is I hear this all the time. Let's say somebody's not afraid of it. They're like, I want to do this. And this goes back to when I started in martial arts back in 2000 with our friend Randy, who's actually our kickboxing instructor at the gym now, Randy LaPrevo. He's the one that turned me around from being way overweight. He got me on track and start. Had a friend who he always said, I'm just not in I'm not in good enough shape to start up keto. So I'm going to go get on my treadmill for 2 months before I'm ready. That's a real easy excuse. I'm not in shape enough to get in shape. Like, what the hell does that mean? If that's an excuse, just show up. We will get you there. Okay. And so
Yeah.
we've sent that message as much as we could over the years. Like, you don't have to get ready to get, you don't have to get in shape to get ready to get in shape. Just come in. We'll do it.
Just-
What we've done recently is that we do recognize that some people just aren't ready to start moving, and that their bigger problem is nutrition. And you mentioned it earlier. This is fascinating to me. We have so many highly educated people in our gym, super professionals, a handful of PhDs,
Yeah.
attorneys, doctors, a judge, nurses, nurse practitioners, sales professionals, lots of smart people. And most of them will admit that they're clueless when it comes to what they should eat because nobody really taught. And there's some very simple steps to cleaning up nutrition. And that will make you feel as good, if not better, than if you start moving. And so now the message is, look, you're not ready to, don't worry if it's CrossFit. You're just not ready to start exercise. That's okay. Why don't you start with nutrition coaching? My wife is an exceptional nutrition coach. Courtney, our head
She
fitness
is.
coach, Courtney, she's very, very good. And they're
Yeah.
a little different. Courtney's young and she's very athletic and she's a very solid performer. And people that want that sports performance can relate to her. My wife, she struggled with her weight all her life. People who are in that position can identify with her. No matter where you are, and with me, the client I go for is the guy who's late 30s, late 40s, got to turn their life around. I did that. They can relate to me. So you can start with nutrition coaching and you'll feel within a month or two, you're going to feel completely different. And then maybe you'll say, you know what, maybe I will try a couple of those exercise classes and I want to pursue that. For the last 13 years of our 14 years in business, it had always been, look, let's get you moving. Let's get you losing a few pounds. Let you feeling better about yourself. And then we'll talk about your food because most people they're more resistant to that. We've turned that
Yeah.
around now and say, look, let's not even worry about you coming to a class. Let's not put a barbell in your hand. Let's not teach you how to swing a kettlebell. Let's talk about how to clean up your nutrition, what you eat, what you drink, figure out what's causing you to go down the wrong road, and let's set some simple habits that you can implement. You'll start to feel better, and then now we can start exercising. Because the people that we have that do both are the ones that get the best results. We have people that work out very, very hard, very, very intently, but they just don't want to talk about cleaning up their diet. They hit a plateau, and that's where they're going to be. Once they start cleaning up their eating habits a little bit at a time, their performance and their just level of being goes up. So
That's awesome.
so tying that back, I told you I'd go off on tangents, but I'll bring it back to um, your original question. A business owner that says, "What can we be doing?" is maybe identify another way you can get people started with you that you never thought of. That and it doesn't necessarily mean it's expensive. You're just presenting your product or service a little bit differently. Or earlier we talked about trying to stay ahead. Identify some trends in your industry. What's new that you can work on bringing into your fold? And you have a business, you're operating, and now you say, all right, I'm going to identify this new service, this new approach, this new product, whatever it is, and start bootstrapping that. Treat that as your side hustle. Okay? For example, in our business, one of the things we recognized a few years ago, which was going to be a good add-on revenue for us, is CBD hemp, CBD oil, CBD pain. Really, it's great. We got involved with that way early, and we just rolled it out to our clients very slowly, a little bit at a time, and we treated that like a side hustle, but it was related to our business, so it wasn't distracting me. And right now, that represents a reasonable percentage of our revenue. But we slowly crept into it, and it didn't cost us very much. It was just a slow incremental growth, learning and figuring out why that product worked with our clients. And I think everybody who has a business, if they thought about it, could find something else to do that is going to eventually make their business better. It's not a right turn. It's something that's valuable, that fits into the mix. That's why, like we talk about side hustles. If you have a business, if you have a job, a full-time job, and you want to get into business, a side hustle, for lack of a better term, is a great way to start to learn how to deal with customers, how to deal with vendors, how to deal with building a little business when there's no pressure. And then there'll be a time where you're like, you know what, I'm ready to make the switch. If you quit your job to start a business without doing any groundwork, you're probably going to be one of those people that fail, unless you have a lot of money behind you. So it's okay that side hustle is a completely different direction from your job. But if you're running a business, I don't think you should have a side hustle that is completely different. Don't have a second business. Don't have a third business, unless your first business is running on autopilot. You need to put all your attention to make sure that business is strong. But a side hustle in your mind could be, oh, you know what? And I'm not going to even try to think of an example because I don't want to distract. I want people to be thinking in their own world. Hey, here's another way I could add revenue, value to the business, the same clients that I have. You find products for your existing clients to buy from you. Just make sure that it fits in with your whole concept. And so that little side hustle, that's where you bootstrap. That's where you spend a little bit at a time. You don't go bonkers on it. Prove that, and then let it take off. And then once it gets a little traction, then you can be more confident in putting money into it to help it grow. Hopefully that makes a little sense.
No, makes a lot of sense. Bill, thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing your wisdom. I couldn't have asked for a better guest in terms of giving us a different way to think about business, because one of the big problems in all businesses is we look to the side of us and we look at what our competitors do, and we automatically assume two things. Number one, they're successful, and number two, that they're doing things right. We often find out that those assumptions aren't true, that they're not that successful, and they're about to go out of business, and now we're copying the wrong thing. So, guys, Bill just gave you a lot of great takeaways. Anyone that wants to get in better shape, hook up with Bill and Stacy at CrossFit Cleveland. I will see you there, and especially if you like to work out at 5 o'clock in the morning, like I do. But thank you, Bill, for coming on and sharing with us everything that you've learned over the years, or at least a small portion of it. Have a good one.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it. You too. Take care.
Thanks. Take care.